Hey friends, it's Rosie and I'm going to show you how to make some amazing gumbo. The exact measurements can be found at iHeartRecipes.com. I'm going to start off with my chicken, and in my pan here I'm going to pour in some vegetable oil. I turned the heat up to medium, and now I'm going to start adding my chicken into my pan. The cut of chicken or piece of chicken that I'm using is thigh, it's boneless and skinless. And I'm also going to season this chicken using some poultry seasoning, onion powder, garlic powder, salt, and pepper. I'm now going to brown each side of the chicken, and once each side is nicely browned, I'm going to pour in a little bit of chicken broth. I'm going to grab my lid to my pan, and I want to make sure I cook the chicken throughout. I want it completely done. And once it is done, I'm going to remove it from this pan. So we're going to leave the oil in there, but all of that other brown stuff, you can take that out of the pan. And now I'm going to show you the veggies that I'll be using. I have some onions, I have bell pepper and celery. I'll be using a couple cloves of garlic. And I love tomatoes, so I will be using some diced tomatoes. But if you don't like tomatoes, you can leave them out. And that goes for this as well. Okra. If you don't like okra, you can leave it out, but I love okra. And you're also going to need some bay leaves. I'm going to be using my dry bay leaves. So I'm going to chop up all of my vegetables. You can cut them as small or leave them as big as you want. It's up to you. And now I'm going to head back over to my stovetop. As I mentioned earlier, I left the oil in there, and I'm going to start tossing in my bell peppers, onions, and my celery. I'm going to cook these vegetables until they're nice and translucent, and when I get to like 2 minutes into cooking, I'm going to start adding in my garlic. So once everything is nicely cooked, we'll turn the heat off, and now we're just going to chop up the chicken. And don't forget, if you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps me out a ton, so please do so. And now we need to work on the most time-consuming part, and that is the roux. Now, I make my roux a little thinner than others, but it always comes out fabulous. Let me tell you how I do it. I started off by pouring in my vegetable oil. I'm using my Dutch oven. You can use a regular pot if you want, a regular pot. And I'm going to start sprinkling in a little bit of all-purpose flour in at a time. And once it reaches a nice peanut butter brown color, I know I'm good to go. And that takes me about 30 minutes or so to reach this color here. So once I am here, I'm going to grab some chicken broth, and I'm going to start pouring the chicken broth in there, but do it slowly. And now we are ready to start adding in some ingredients. So we're going to add in our vegetables that we cooked earlier, you know, the celery, peppers, onions, and garlic. Give everything a nice stir. And now we're going to start adding in our chicken. Once the chicken's in there, of course, I'm going to give everything a nice stir again. I love to make sure that all of my ingredients are well incorporated. And now I'm going to work on my sausage. Now I'm using chicken andouille sausage. I love it. It is a little on the spicy side, but if you have a different preference, obviously I'm using Trader Joe's, you can use a different andouille sausage. If you don't want spicy sausage, you can use regular smoked beef sausage or smoked turkey sausage. It really depends on you. So now I'm going to start adding in my seasonings. I'm going to add some black pepper, seasoning salt. If you don't want to use seasoning salt, you can use Cajun seasoning. And now let's toss in our bay leaves. Once the bay leaves are in there, I'm going to add in my tomatoes. You know my love for tomatoes. I'm going to give everything a nice stir. And now I'm going to cover my Dutch oven with the lid and let it cook for about 20 minutes. After that 20 minutes, I'm ready to start adding in my okra. Again, if you do not like okra, you can leave it on out. And now I'm going to add my secret ingredient, which isn't a secret ingredient anymore. It's dried shrimp. I love the dried shrimp because it brings your gumbo up a couple of notches, or a lot of notches actually. It adds so much flavor. I love it. If it's hard for you to find it, check out your local Asian markets. They seem to always have it there. And dried shrimp is just what it sounds like. It's just shrimp that is dehydrated. Again, it adds a lot of flavor. So we let that cook for 20 minutes after adding in the dried shrimp. And now I'm going to add in my crab. I'm using Alaskan king crab. If you have a different preference of crab, you can do so. This crab is a little more expensive than the other crabs. So if you're on a budget, I would suggest using maybe crab claws. Those are always cheaper. So we'll let this cook for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to start adding in our shrimp. I'm using large shrimp. I can't remember the count, but it is peeled and deveined. And once the shrimp is in there, I'm going to reduce my heat from medium to low. So it's been on medium this whole time, by the way. So now we're going to sprinkle in a couple teaspoons of gumbo filet. And then you're going to need to give everything a nice stir. Make sure it's all combined throughout, well incorporated, and all that other good stuff. Let it sit for a couple of minutes, and now we're ready to serve. Now, I like to serve my gumbo with steamed rice and cornbread, but that's just my thing. What do you like to serve your gumbo with? Leave it down below in the comment box. And now I'm going to pour the gumbo all around the rice, and I love adding lots of crab, shrimp. Actually, you know, I like adding a lot of everything, so let me not go down the list. So just add that gumbo all around the rice, and we are ready to serve. I'm just going to add a little bit of color by sprinkling on some parsley flakes, because, you know, that's how I get down. And now we are ready to dig in. Don't forget, if you want the exact measurements, get the recipe from iHeartRecipes.com. Your free copy is there. Subscribe to me if you haven't already, and visit me every Sunday and Wednesdays for new video uploads.